Next up is an adorable solution to prolong the life of a favorite snack.
Hey Sharks, my name is Sean Adler. I'm seeking an investment of $150,000 in exchange for 10% of my company. Nana Hats. The world's first banana preservation device, specifically designed to be functional, reduce food waste, and look super adorable on your kitchen countertop.
Whatever you're doing right now, stop what you're doing and give some big super claps for super entrepreneur Sean Adler. Woo! Welcome, Sean.
Right.
How you doing today?
Thank you, Joe. I'm so happy to be here and finally get to meet you, one of my YouTube heroes.
Oh my God! Oh, please stop.
The pleasure's all mine.
It is an honor to get to speak with you, but also to get to put out content that helps people. I think that's one of the key things there that I always think to myself when people say, because I've gotten this comment several times, like, I'm addicted to your channel, and I'm like, I'm really glad and proud that I create educational content, not just like fluff filler, make you laugh kind of content, because like laughter's great and it's awesome and all that, but we need more. We need education in our lives as well. So it's an honor to get to meet you, Sean. I'm glad we were able to make it fit into our schedules. So thank you for being here.
No, absolutely. I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy to pay it forward too, because I really reaped the benefits of your channel and my prep work for my appearance, and really it was like a boot camp, just because there's so little information going into the experience, and I think it's you and one other podcast that stopped producing new material a few years ago. So I really got a lot of insights and the behind the scenes, and it's really, everything's so secretive. So you really want to go in with all your information, because no matter what, when you film this thing, it's going to stick with you forever. So
that it is, and I'm. It's kind of surprising to me that it being so secretive that they haven't come knocking on the door to say like, hey, I mean, we don't talk about the real secrets. The stuff that we've talked about here is more about you and the business than, but there's if you listen to all of the interviews, like, you could definitely pick up a lot of information, but you gotta kind of weed through all of it to get that, because it's just like tidbits here, tidbits there, a little nugget here, and eventually you could like kind of piece the whole puzzle together. But yeah, it is surprising to me that they haven't come knocking to or told anybody to not come on the show.
Yeah, they'll come knocking. But it's only a matter of time as your channel grows. I mean, this is the go-to spot for Shark Tank info, and you have quite the niche here. So it is a great resource.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, it's like, to me, it's just about business and education. Educating people on making better decisions, and really overcoming the hurdles that they have. So, and I think that's the interesting thing, is not everybody views Shark Tank in that way. Like, I had a conversation with somebody the other day that was like, well, it's just a reality TV show, and I'm like, yes, it is, but you can derive a lot of it, like education, from that reality TV show, because of the way it's shot and the authenticity. Yeah, there's some things that are out of order or whatever, but at the end of the day, like, the numbers are still the numbers. The people, the Seans of Shark Tank are actual people with actual businesses that came from actual ideas, and I think that speaks so much more volume than like a Bachelor or a Bachelorette or a Survivor, kind of thing. So, and I think there's definitely things to learn from those too, like from a marketing standpoint, from a, maybe a psychological standpoint to a certain extent, but a lot of that is heavy editing and coaxing. But anyway, I'm so glad you're here, Sean. And so, as we always, how did you get into Shark Tank? Watching Shark Tank, were you a big fan? Like, what was your relationship with Shark Tank prior to even imagining you could go on Shark Tank?
Oh, diehard fan of Shark Tank. My wife and I, we have Shark Tank Saturdays. So we every Saturday, I'm sure most of America does this too, who has a Hulu account. We're on Hulu watching Shark Tank in the morning after, commercial free. So I could never imagine myself being on Shark Tank. It was never like the go-to plan for my business. But as the business matured, it seemed like a great option once we had enough sales and we became a little bit more established. And there's nothing wrong with applying. That's just what I continue to tell myself. And, obviously as soon as I applied, I was like fast tracked because they absolutely fell in love with the product. I felt really lucky in that sense.
The product is super marketable, right? It's cute, it's utilitarian, and I love that it's got customization to it. But like, obviously you can buy it from but I kind of imagine like if you were a crocheter, you could probably crochet your own. I mean, maybe you wouldn't have the magnet on top, but it's just a little thumb size, or maybe bigger than a thumb, but you know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, people ask for the patterns all the time, like I forgot what the term is, but it's like the crochet instructions. But it's not a bunch of people crocheting here. It's just we have it done at a factory, so it's all handled, and some of it is machine woven and some of it's hand woven. They do great like work and a lot of intricacies.
So how did you? What was the point that you realized that you wanted to take it to Shark Tank? Did you apply or did they reach out to you?
So I thought about applying in season 13. I work in wealth management, so a lot of my apprehension in applying was that I was concerned about what my clients would think and what my managers would think of me, and the firm that I work for already knows about my company and approved it, but maybe they didn't know the extent to how far along the company was, that's really what was holding me back. So I let season 13 pass me by, and I applied really early season 14 in October. And it was basically because I wanted to, I got the business to the point where I thought, I needed additional distribution, and, I wanted to have some of those channels that weren't accessible to me on my own as being one person and a solo entrepreneur. I wanted to take advantage of that. And in the worst case scenario, if I was, ridiculed off the stage, I definitely got exposure. So it was a chance I was willing to take. So I'm really happy I took the plunge.
Yeah, no, I absolutely ding ding for that, because I'm noticing maybe a little bit of anxiousness there when talking about worrying about what your firm thought or your coworkers thought. Did it stem waka waka from the fact that it's Nana hats, or just in general, like an anxiety of doing something outside of the firm and it being, I don't know, seen as, oh, why aren't you putting that energy into the business?
Right.
Into the
it's a
firm?
little bit of both. I mean, it's like, it's so out of left field as a business idea. And no one would ever guess, that I work with. None of my clients would ever guess I'd be starting a banana hat company, let alone it be very successful. And then also, I mean, yeah, definitely, I was scared of the perception of, that my attention would be taken away from managing my clients' portfolios and making sure that they're on pace to retire. And, and so I basically thought, by applying, that it was worth the risk. And that I think what I kept telling myself is, it's for other people looking at this, that it's impressive that I started a business on my own with no help and got it to this point where I'm getting national exposure. And if someone interprets that the wrong way, maybe that isn't someone that I want to work with or work for. So that was my thinking when I officially took the plunge to apply. And all of my fears, I mean, everything was in my head. I mean, as soon as that thing aired, a few clients saw it. They all thought it was so impressive. My managers saw it. They all thought it was great. Obviously, I had a really like awesome edit, which I couldn't be. I'm so happy and thankful the edit was great. Otherwise, this would be a very different conversation. So, I just feel really lucky and blessed. The whole thing just works so beautifully.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I would say by and large, the editors of Shark Tank and the producers of Shark Tank are, mostly cast a positive light, even when it's not. Like, even when it's not going well. I think that I think part of that might be like the CYA aspect as well, considering the fact that you have to see a psychologist right after you get done filming because you're decompressing and all. But I think that it's important that people, for the businesses to feel proud and to it's advertising for Shark Tank too, right? Like it's advertising for the business that if you have a terrible experience, yeah, you might put the Shark Tank thing up there for a little while, but then after a while it might just kind of go away, like you just don't talk about it, and that's not necessarily good for the brand. Or worse, right? Or it could take a much worse turn that would really be bad for the show and potentially entrepreneurship to a certain extent in America and the world as a whole. If it didn't go, if they weren't coming from a place of love, I feel. Yeah, it's also for the money, but I think that it's all. I think there's a lot of passion that goes into it, and that's why the product has had the staying power for 14 years that it has. So, but I think having that anxiety, I think there's a lot of people out there that have the ideas and this, that, and the thought process. I don't know that everybody has the thought process of that you did, though, of what will the clients think, right? It's more, I don't want to be judged for for the product. I don't want to be made fun of because I'm going to be on TV or be susceptible to that. Because, I definitely know quite a few people that have been on the show that got lots of negative feedback in their email, hate mail, tweets and things like that. So that alone, I think, is powerful, but having but that might not be something that you necessarily think about, where in your case you're thinking like, oh no, is the client going to think I don't have their interest best at heart? But I think that one aspect to look at is the experience that you bring to the table now, having your own business and being, going through the gauntlet of being on Shark Tank and marketing a product and having it not just be a marketable product, but like actually getting a lot of sales in it that anybody would be like, holy crap. Or not anybody, but even, well, maybe anybody, but a good chunk of people, a good really big percentage of people would be like, wow, I wish I could do that.
Yeah, no, and I don't know how I got through it, but I practiced so much, like a machine. I was actually on paternity leave, in the run up. So, I was eat, sleep, and breathing Shark Tank 24 hours a day. Every morning I walk my dog. I practiced that pitch like hands down. My poor dog probably has the pitch memorized because every day I was just, even in the car, just me and the dog, I'm talking to the dog about my pitch. And my pitch was actually much longer too. But a lot of it got edited out. I guess it wasn't it wasn't good for TV, but I'm going to remember that pitch till the day I die, I think, because I still have it, in my mind, tattooed forever. I could tell it to you right now, but I'm not going to do it.
Well, I'm curious though, like what was added, like what was missing? Was it more about the science of the ethanol gas being released from the stem?
No, it was just more of like there's I had samples in front of each shark, and basically it was the part where I'm going around the room telling them each to reveal their sample, their nanohat. But it's fine. It really sped things up. But that's totally, up to the editors. They could do what they want.
You got a commercial break in yours, which doesn't happen in every episode as well, or not every episode, but every pitch doesn't necessarily get a commercial break, so it's a little bit longer. And I guess they look, when you're telling the story, I always say like, start with the ending and then figure out what the story is to get to that ending that makes sense, you know, because you can't change the ending, but you can change how you get there based upon the editing and sequencing of events and things like that. So that, I mean, that's awesome. So how did you go about coming up with your 150,000 for 10% initial offer?
So, you know, the business in 2021, we were, you know, like as you saw on TV, we were at $483,000 in sales. See, I remember my numbers too, Joe, and this was over all the way last summer. So I'm telling you, I was training like I was training for like a 12-round boxing match. I was so ready to go. Like even when they open up those doors, Joe, like you could see on the camera, I was standing in the dark behind this first set of doors, and like, I was like, you know, I waited back there for 5 minutes. I came out so fast. I almost passed this camera guy. I was just ready to get I had all this
you was past the camera guy. I mean, I have it sped up here for the. I'll slow it down. Yeah, you are walking pretty fast there.
You know, he's walking backwards, and I'm like, I'm gonna pass this guy because I need to get out there, and I was so ready to get this information just out of my head and just not so much like get this experience over with, but like just really like just like tackle this like monster. And and I was like a beast let out of a cage. You know, it was just real funny. But the valuation, to answer your question, right? Our business was cash flow positive, and you know, so our patent is still pending. But I knew that I had about 200,000 in inventory. And I know that when you come into Shark Tank, you know, I watched about from season 13 all the way back to season 6, that's a lot of Shark Tank. So, you know, I learned a lot of things. I also know, like, if you go before season 6, you know, they're much different sharks. The deals were a lot more aggressive. You know, they casually get a little bit more softer as you get to the you know, the season. I'm sure because they're older and maybe a little bit wiser, and they don't do as many like foolish deals. But I knew that if I go and asking for 10%, they're going to ask me for 30 or 40. I knew that where I wanted to land around 20. You know, that was my sweet spot. I would have even gone higher. You know, to be honest with you, yes. Valued my business at 3 times gross, so 1.5. But I knew that the Sharks were going to come in and beat that down. I knew it was better to overshoot. I also had like a backup like royalty deal in my pocket if I needed to. I also, I mean, I had every which way covered. I had a backup plan. I had a backup to that backup plan. I had multiple different ways to get different sharks involved. So, you know, I knew I was going to give it my all, and I didn't want to regret it. One thing that the producers tell you is that if the sharks don't ask, you tell them, because you don't want to leave there like saying, I should have said this, I should have said this. So, you know, it was a big information dump, like as soon as I hit the carpet.
That is see, like what we were talking about earlier about the nuggets of information through, you know, the secrets throughout the entirety of all the interviews and things. That makes a lot of sense when you start to watch all these episodes as you did, Sean. Why people like say things and it's like it seems like it's out of left field all of a sudden. And might not just be because of editing. It might just literally be because that, you know, you leave it all out there and you don't want to forget to or wait for them to necessarily ask that question. Right. Especially if it's like ranked as a higher, you know, more valuable piece of information that should be given out, even if they don't ask. Like, oh, I have this PO for, you know, Walmart that I don't know why we waited 38 minutes to get to this point, but here's that PO. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, why didn't you bring that up like a half hour ago? Totally.
No, it's funny. They were like Lori asked me, so who's running the business? And I said, oh, you're looking at the sole employee of the business. And then I was like, oh, and by the way, I'm a new father, you know, like it's just so out of place to just throw that out there. But I was like, I got to get this out here somehow. Cause it's like, they're all just talking over each other, you know? So it's like, it's just a feeding frenzy. Like, you know, it was really surreal just cause, you know, I'm a diehard Shark Tank fan. So like to be on the other side, and to actually live it, the trippiest thing is that there's no music and that it's silent. Like, so there's no, when you're watching on TV, there's no awkward silences because there's that background track. But when you're actually there, it's like a library. So like, and there's a couple hundred people on the outside that are all dead silent, and they're watching too. So, it's just, the pressure is there, but after that first 2 minutes, the pitch, really all my nerves just like subsided, and they really do a good job of hiding the cameras. And like, I just had to get that pitch, because so much practice, that whole scripted part, and then the unscripted part, I mean, I would just wing it. But, there's something about just remembering your lines that's like, gives you so much anxiety. But I'm happy it all went smoothly.
Yeah, I mean being able to get that out, because then anything from there is like they're either getting it or they're not going to get it. They're gonna ask some of the basic questions. Tell us about yourself, blah blah blah, and which it's funny you were talking about the feeding frenzy. Like we really got to see that as an audience in the live show. That there was a lot of people that did not like it. They're all yelling over each other. Like, yeah, that's what's happening. Like, it's not a highly produced show. Like, it's highly produced prior to getting out there, and when and it happens how it happens. And yeah, so getting to see that from the live episode, I think really shed some light to or opened up some people's eyes and ears to the fact that this is how it normally is. But having that opportunity to put your pitch there, something that you worked on so hard that your dog probably knows it as well as you do, maybe even better, since there's less things going through your dog's mind than yours. I think that weight off of your chest must be just huge. Just like, I didn't screw it up. Like, everything's from here on out, it's just I answer questions, I know the answers because I know my numbers, and yeah, I think that it makes all the difference. And I think also putting out there that you had a child. I noticed this after I had my first kid. People treat you different. It's not a direct difference, but it's especially older people will treat you different because they know that you have that weight of responsibility on your shoulders. That it doesn't matter if I was 30 prior to having kids, right? But or 29, like, it doesn't matter. Like, you're still just a kid. And then some will say, oh, you're just a kid that has kids even when you're like 35. But ultimately, I've noticed that people just, because it's that responsibility that you have to now provide for that child.
Totally. No, and I knew that if I could make as much as personal as possible, and really, I think people do business with people they like. So that's more important than what was one thing I found just from working in wealth management, that if I can be likable, then maybe they'll give me a chance. So maybe I really wanted to give it my all and not have any regrets, and I think I did. I left it all on the field.
Yeah. I mean, it's the trust. It's all about trust, right? I mean, that's I've said that about grass cutting, right? Like, who do I want showing up to my house every week? The guy or people that I trust, right? That aren't going to like destroy my house or whatever. Anybody can cut grass, right? Like literally you could train a monkey to cut grass, but I have to trust, and that I think goes so much further than just being able to regurgitate numbers. And there's so many things that you as a wealth management, I would say person, I don't know, wealth manager. Yeah. Like, there's so many things that you've seen, but at the end of the day, like, you are making decisions of investing people's money. So there's a big trust factor there, right? But it's into businesses that everybody else is also investing in. it's not like you have access to necessarily other businesses that like, well, we have our proprietary stocks that we do that only we can, invest into. I mean, maybe I guess some funds or, some wealth managers maybe have some access to some, but that seems like it would be pretty risky and like kind of violate the first part about trust. Cause it's like, how trustworthy are those people that you're investing in versus like the Disneys, the S&P 500 businesses, the Fortune 500 businesses out there.
Yeah, I mean, like you don't never want to the product they can get from anywhere. But really, what makes it's the personal relationship is what's the difference maker. Who's gonna hold your hand and go on this journey with you. So, I think that that really resonates with people when they're deciding who to do business with.
So speaking about resonating about who you wanted to do business with, did you have an idea of what shark or sharks you wanted to work with before going into the tank?
I actually was thinking. Actually, I was flexible, to be honest with you, Joe. I had in my mind, I was like, obviously, I think most people go in there wanting to get Mark. I thought Lori could be great. To be honest with you, I actually was going to go up there for another day. I was scheduled for another day. And then the day before I got bumped, which was like devastating. I was moping around the house. I actually went and bought 3 boxes of bananas already from Costco. And my car was packed and I was about to head up to LA. I already had the names of who the sharks were. And I actually had 2 female. There was 2 females. So I thought having a female, female dependent panel would have benefited me with my product, just in my head. But I basically I had to give away all those bananas once my taping was bumped. So it was very awkward when I had to explain to people in my apartment building. I had to say, you guys want some bananas? And everyone would be like, what's wrong with them? And, and I'm just here giving away bananas and I can't explain to them, my Shark Tank thing got rescheduled. So, I had to be like, oh, there's nothing wrong with them. I just overbought bananas. And mind you, it's 3 Costco boxes. And that's actually when we took the photo of my daughter in the bananas. That was during the taping. That was when I had all those extra bananas laying around.
I think that's funny that the first thought is what's wrong with the bananas rather than thank you. This is all I don't know. I get fruit from my neighbor all the time because she has she does stuff with her husband at the USO over in Philly. So they always have lots of extra stuff that's just hanging about, extra cereal boxes, extra fruit, extra I mean, the other day she gave me I don't know. She had I think 2 boxes of bags of tangerines, and was like, "How many do you want?" And I'm like, "I don't know how many bags. How many bags can I eat?" We ended up giving some of them away to our family members. I brought some into work and just trying to figure out what I could do to get unload these so they didn't go bad. I want them to get used.
Yeah, people are just nicer, I guess, in Philly. I don't know. San Diego.
I don't know, man. I don't know about that.
Give away free bananas these days. I don't know.
Oh man. So when you're so you were okay, so you ended up getting bumped for another date, which ultimately ended up working in your favor. So I'm guessing Lori was also in your sight as well. And going through the process, only having ultimately or early on only having an offer from Kevin. Kevin offered first, I believe. I just rewatched it, so I should know. I was trying to eat dinner while watching, so I didn't have time to write notes. But where I was because he wanted what? Or no, it was Lori. Lori or no, Peter. Sorry, Peter was the first one to offer up only half of the deal though, for 15%.
Yeah,
which
in real time, like Joe, I've watched so much Shark Tank during my paternity leave to in the run up to this taping that I had the music playing in my head and I had the sound effect when you say your order, when you say what your ask is that across the bottom of the it's like a little sounds like like little Tinkerbell. You know, that was in my head, and you know, I knew as soon as he said that about I'm only going to offer you half, I'm like, oh gosh, they're zooming in on my face right now, and this is like commercial break. You know, this is the commercial break. I knew like in real time that they're doing a commercial break right now. So it's just funny those, you know, I was so like tuned in.
Was that distracting for you though? Like, I feel like that would be distracting to me, like thinking out loud, right? Of like, or you know, thinking in my brain, like, oh no, this is where the commercial break's going to be. They're zooming in, like, and then at the same time, they're all like, blah 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 blah, like out in front of you, and like really out in front of you, and really spread apart. That's to me, that feels like it would be really. I'm just be like, Joe, shut up, like in my own head, like to myself, because like this is really important. This is really important, but I know it'd be hard to turn myself off like that.
Totally. No, I had like a million things going through my head, and like, you know, they're all talking over each other, and then like, so one person Damon will be asking a question, and then Kevin will, as soon as you're about to answer, and then Kevin will ask a question, and then Mark is yelling over Kevin, and like, so you have to like pick and choose, and like I went in there and like did my best to control the room, but like, you know, you cannot control that room for longer than 60 seconds. And that, if you do 60 seconds, that's amazing. I think I couldn't get my story out of how to start the company for forever, because, you know, they kept chiming in, and that's fine. I think they're all like, you know, wanting to get airtime as well. But yeah, I mean, it's the fact of the matter is Mark Cuban is actually one of my idols. And I followed his story with Broadcom, and, you know, when he first went out, I was like, oh my gosh, you know, like he's like, I'm not going to invest. And it was just like a dagger through my heart. And then he said the nicest thing about me being crazy enough and focused enough and driven enough to go follow through with my crazy idea. I've been watching Shark Tank since the beginning days, and like I would always make fun of the people with the sob story, because I'm like, this person just crying on TV, you know. And now that I was on the other side, I almost cried. You know, it was something like an out of body experience to hear Mark Cuban, you know, tell me like, you know, kudos to me and have my hard work and my perseverance. Mind you, he didn't invest, but like I could easily, I in my head, I was like, Sean, you keep it together. You're not going to cry on national TV right now. So, you know, I'm glad I didn't let that out.
You know, it's tough. It's tough, you know, especially as if you're a person that's, you know, more connected to their emotions and understanding of the gravity of what, you know, he's saying, because now you can clip that, right? And assuming that they didn't cut it out, right? Because that would be my fear. But if I'm, you know, I'm in some of my own head, I'm thinking like, oh my God, Mark's saying all these awesome things. Okay, yeah, he didn't invest. God, I hope I get the video of this so I can, you know, use it for, you know, for prosperity purposes later.
Totally. No, like it would have been a bad edit if they just cut out the part. He's like, I'm not going to invest.
Yeah. If they just, I was just not going to invest. That's it. And then he's like, hitting his fingers together. He's like, I'm not going to invest. And like, that's it. That would have been terrible. And meanwhile, they left your whole pitch in, and you're like, oh God, how did they leave out Mark's like awesome, you know, rant about? And I think the reason it would be left in is because it applied to so many people, right? Yeah. Not just you. That like, but the inspiration of you for so many people, I think, is so important. And I think Mark would think that that's important enough to make it, you know, stick for an episode.
Yeah, man, it was like that was like the most surreal thing. But I once he dropped out, I was like, oh, okay, now I need to like kick it up a gear, and then I kicked it in fifth gear. You know, I was hustling at that point. I felt like I was a lot alive once the first guy went out.
Hey, well, it's like a Band-Aid. You got, you know, one big rip and right off. And
yeah, once the big fish was out of the pool, it was like all right, we're gonna make something happen here.
I mean, you know, that's a great point in and of itself. Like if Mark, you know, when Mark waits till the last one to be there, it kind of makes it really tough on you, especially if there's like maybe somebody else and like, well, what are you going to do? And it's like, I don't know, you know, and it puts you in a really tough position. So he was genuine in his compliments to you and honored you by going out and knowing that this wasn't going to be for him, which I thought was interesting because of the tie to sports and the tie to people eating bananas and at milkshakes and stuff. Like, what, it's $150,000. Like, you didn't come in asking for $450,000, 350, 450, $500,000 for 10%. So it seems odd to me that he didn't feel compelled because of what you came in looking for to take, to even just take a flyer on it. If nothing else, just for his own team, bananas. Like, how much money is that going to save him? Having free Nana hats at the Mavs stadium.
I think he has I think they all have a lot of companies on their plates. So I don't know if they're what the Sharks mentality is as far as do they want to keep building these portfolios of companies and keep so I don't know where the show's at this point after 14 seasons, but I think they're very selective now. It seemed that's what my impression was.
Yeah, I mean, there's been plenty of people in my comments, at least in the super community, that have talked about maybe it's time we start looking for some other sharks that aren't just guest sharks, but and my proposal was, why don't you do the summer during the summer, do 3 or 4 live Shark Tank episodes during then, and maybe bring in 1 or 2 of the sharks and use other sharks as a training ground to get the show, to get other sharks up to speed, because obviously some of these guest sharks are awesome, but they're not going to be the everyday shark. They're not going to be there in every episode, like a Gwyneth Paltrow or a Kevin Hart or who was some of the Ashton Kutcher was, you know what I mean? They're probably not going to be a shark every week in and week out. But find those other people that could and start to build, like I said, a summer program. Maybe it's 3 episodes across the summer, June, July, and August, and you do live episodes and you bring in 2 sharks or 1 shark and the rest of them are, let them teach, and it's a live event, so it's different. And maybe keep the crowd silent for that. We don't need them to be cheering like it's the Price is Right or something in the background the whole time. Totally. But
I agree with you. I think there's a lot of people talking about that online. So maybe that does make the most sense for making the show a little bit giving it a refresher.
Yeah, just to have somebody else, because it takes a while for people to get that kind of level of trust to bring in somebody new. I mean, if I had to guess, Kevin will be doing the show until he literally is no longer on this earth. It's he's not. Or they tell him to stop. I don't think he'll be stopping at all. Period. But I think Mark has talked about backing away after another season or 2. I think they're on contract for 1 more season or 2 more seasons after this one. But I mean, not that it couldn't be, can't be renewed, and the numbers are still there. So yeah, it's not going away. So I think they need to have a real plan to bring in some other people to rotate in, especially, or get them prepared for when when it's a thing, when somebody's no longer there. But so Peter and Lori offer you $150,000 for 30%. In my mind, when you decided to counter, and thankfully Kevin decided to give you a royalty offer, which was, I wasn't crazy about it, especially with him taking 10% and then wanting $1 on each one. Not great. What was your royalty offer thought process?
Well, the royalty, I was just happy to have 2 offers because I studied Shark Tank like it was my job for a month, for at least a few months. So I know that just from personal experience, when you have 2 offers, you just stand there and you shut up, and you just let them bicker their way down. And I knew it was the perfect case scenario for Kevin and Lori were just going at it for quite a while, much longer than what you see on TV. And it was funny. I mean, I was just silent the entire time and just letting it happen. I couldn't even open up my mouth to basically get words in to counter, because there was so much back and forth going on that was just very funny. But I knew it was the best case scenario, and I knew that I had all the power, because I think above all, the Sharks, they just want to win. They're very competitive, and they love one-upping each other. So I think like that's what really gets them off during the taping.
Well, the opportunity to be funny and conversational knows that they know that they want to make great TV too.
Right.
So they want to win. They want that airtime. There's only so many, there's only so many minutes per pitch. So you're just trying your best to be, in the conversation as much as possible, even when you're not going to invest, like we saw with Damon and Collars and Co., which I have a Collars and Co. box like sitting over here. I need to get around to opening. But the it's like Damon just kept talking, even though he was out like a minute or so into the pitch, or after the pitch was over.
Yeah, no, I mean, Damon didn't even give me an offer. He didn't do much talking. He was laughing at mine, but he's funny. He's got like one-liners too. They all have this great sense of humor that we've all grown up with. And my product really gave them a lot of material. And it's all the stuff that they were saying isn't just not the first time I've heard any of it. So I'm pretty insulated against all the jokes with my product. So I felt like I said I wanted them to give me their best shot, and really they ran with it.
So I mean, ultimately, Peter and Lori come down, and you countered to 15%, and they landed on 20%, which I think was a pretty good number for you and for them.
I was like blown when I got two, Joe. Like I was like blown. Like I was like, oh my gosh, I like two Sharks for 20%. Like that's like I'm getting the better of them. I sharked them is what I was saying in my head, and you could see my eyes just like light up at 20%, and I was like, oh, like this is amazing. I just knew like if Kevin was involved, that was going to be higher. It was going to be a much worse deal, but like because Kevin was chatting it up in the background, that really gave me all the power in the negotiation.
Yeah, it does help, right? It's because it's also a distraction. I would say for them to like, because they're trying to remember the numbers and the deal and why. Because like you're not the only person they're seeing today,
Right.
So they're trying to keep everything straight. That's why I got a book, right? And I write notes. And even though some people are like, what the hell has he got the pen in his hand for? Like he's a shark. Like, no, I want to make sure I get everything straight, because it's 8 minutes of, or 8 to 10 minutes of just blah, 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 spitting out deals and things. And I want to make sure that I, am not forgetting, because whatever I record is forever, right? Like it's up on YouTube, so like I don't want to get it wrong, especially because it's all in real time.
Right. Well, like winners take notes. Have you ever heard that saying?
I haven't, but I love it. Ding the bell for that. I like that a lot. Absolutely, you gotta take notes. I mean, that's what we do in school, right? We take notes.
Totally. And you don't get the benefit of the notepad when you're up on that stage. I mean, and luckily I felt like I work in wealth management, so like I'm used to working with numbers. Actually, it was like I felt like I was like more prepared for that moment, like just from my career and sitting with wealthy individuals, than like I felt like I had an edge versus just an average person that was appearing. So I felt very much like in my element when I was up there. After that first pitch part, which was a little different for me, I felt like I settled in and like I really hit my stride. And I was like, okay, it's just a regular pitch meeting with investors. Like, nothing to be scared of. And, one's a billionaire. He's already out. Now we got, 4, 100 millionaires we can talk to. Collective billing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So okay, so you get done. You walk out with a deal, 150,000 for 20%, and you head back to San Diego. And what's some of the things you did? Because obviously you don't know until 3 weeks ahead of time that you are going to air at all, or potentially going to air. Aside from them having to move the air date or something for some other reason. But what's some of the things that you did to prepare? I mean, obviously you said you had 200,000 in inventory already, which. Holy crap, that's a lot. To be, that's a lot of Nana hats.
Yeah. We're preparing for the Q4. Yeah, it is a lot of Nana hats. You're absolutely right, Joe. And I knew like Nana hats don't go bad either. They don't have a shelf life, so I knew they were going to sell at some point. And that's so I definitely had the inventory ready to go. I was convinced that I was going to air even before the taping. I told myself like you just better be prepared. So I built up the inventory. Driving home from LA with like all the bananas and all my stuff, and like I'm still wearing the makeup, and my hair is still like done, from the taping. It was just so surreal. Like I literally drove home and it was just silent in my car, like the entire ride home, like 2 hours, just thinking to myself like how can they edit that to make me look really bad? And I was like, I don't know if there's a lot of ways they could edit that to make me look bad, because I'm just thinking about all the things that maybe were awkward or like they could have, but they really make it like a streamline the whole process when they show it on TV. So the other thing too was I didn't, I had to make sure that like no one knew. It was all. I was completely didn't tell anyone. Only my wife knew, and she can keep a secret.
Shout out to your wife. That is special. She didn't even tell her like her mom or family or anything.
No, nobody.
Wow.
I didn't tell my parents. Like we were insulated just because like I think it's more fun anyway for all these people to find out live what happens. And so I had the inventory. I was just waiting for a phone call. The live show aired, and I'm like, okay, any day now I'm gonna get a phone call. And then it was like October, we got a call, and like I'm a very superstitious person. And the date we got was 11/11, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's like, is that an omen or what? That's a good sign. Plus, I thought that with the taping, we were after a 3-week break of Shark Tank, so we were the first episode back, and plus there was not that we're celebrating bad weather on the East Coast, but there was bad weather on the East Coast, so like you guys are inside and watching Shark Tank, so I knew that was in our favor too. I feel like really had the best case scenario for like when the episode would air, and plus it's before the holidays, right? So I was so ready to go by the time the episode was ready to air. I rebuilt my website. I put in new customer service software. Mind you, I'm still the only employee of the company, but I automated a lot of the processes, knowing that we were going to have a large influx of traffic and questions. And I got over 2,000 emails, during the taping that I answered on my own.
Woo!
Yeah, I know, it was a lot of work, and
it is a lot of work answering emails.
And I was shocked at like what people are saying. Like everyone was mostly nice. Like there's a lot of different offers to distribute my product overseas, and like a lot of those I don't know if are legitimate offers. But it's there was like a lot of stuff I wasn't prepared for, like people asking for money and people. A lot of strange stuff when you appear on TV. Like I guess you don't know what to expect. When you do appear on a national show. And I didn't know what to expect, but I just knew that I was going to run with it and ride the wave.
Well, I mean, it's crazy. Like I've heard that in the from some other people that have been on the show, some of the weird and crazy offers. I don't know if I can say, but like in one case, there was one person that got an offer to like, I want to buy this plot of land. Can you buy this plot of land for me / with me? Because I want to put together like a theme park or something. And he's like, I'm not buying land. And no, just like, stop.
Yeah, exactly. Like, there's so many weird things that came in, like people trying to buy the rights to my product in these like little obscure countries. There's interesting stuff, Joe. Like I couldn't make it up.
That's interesting. That's a thought of, small countries that are, might not have a ton of like rich people like a Monaco, right? But the country itself might actually have enough money to like buy up small businesses that have a ton of publicity thanks to Shark Tank, and then to make more money. That is a thought, huh?
They grow bananas in Monaco.
That they do they really?
Using, I don't know.
No, I didn't think so. I don't think so, but But anyway, no, that's awesome. So did you end up doing a watch party for what did you do when it aired?
So I rented out an outdoor movie theater in San Diego and had it fully catered. We had I just went over the top with all the food and drinks and waiter and servers, and I knew this was like, this is my moment. This all my hard work for over a year this is my payoff. And I was gonna balance the work with the play. The local news actually came and covered the party, so I ended up having to like be on TV on the San Diego news for the most of the party. But it was great. They covered the party, and like, that's how a lot of we got a lot of exposure that way too. So that was pretty cool.
That's awesome. Now I got to ask, because as soon as you said we have waiters at this fully catered party, did you get them Nana hats to wear as the waiters and waitresses?
Oh, that would have been a good idea.
Oh man, that's thinking like, the Nana hats you're about to see on TV. The waiters are wearing the same Nana hats, just bigger, not this sized.
Oh, yeah. We dabbled with the idea of human-sized hats. I have a few prototypes I made, but just never ended up, running away with it. Maybe different company.
Yeah. You know what you do? You do a limited run of them. And sell them for, I don't know, not something like exorbitant, but it's a limited run, so it's expensive, and it's a limit. Your biggest fans will will definitely buy up something like that. So it doesn't have to be something that's like, oh, we have to make 10,000 of these hats. Like maybe it's like 200 of them or something.
Yeah, no, it's a good idea. I definitely will plan on exploring that in the future. I have so many ideas, Joe. Just not enough money or time.
I know, God. Well, then I would say you have three things in life. You got time, money, and energy, and you're going to pull on one of the three, like two of the three, to make it happen, right? You're going to spend time, or you're going to spend money, or you're going to spend the energy, or you could do all three, but you have other things to do in life as well, other than like tend to your daughter and your wife, and So are you still working full time at the firm?
Yes.
Okay. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Dude, to have the income, like think about how much money you're able to bank at that point, right? Because you're not reliant on just the business to like, and the stress, God, the stress that comes with just relying on that is, and even with having money coming in, like a lot, like, that's coming in this month. Is it going to come in next month? Is it going to come in the month after that? What if we hit a full stop recession? Are people still going to be, open to buying a Nana hat, right? Is it going to be at the top of their list to make their bananas list? Are they still going to buy bananas when bananas cost blah, blah, blah amount of money? And that's too darn expensive for, it starts pricing itself. I mean, eggs. God, eggs. Have you bought eggs lately?
Totally. No, you nailed it, Joe. Like anything could happen with Nana hats. There is a point with the business where it could have easily flopped and not been successful, but we got just so lucky with there's certain like events and over the life of the business that really like propelled the business to the next level, and I can totally map them out over the years, so this was just another stepping stone, and I think now being having the national credibility, and also like having Peter and Lori as partners, like we're basically I'm getting a lot more exposure in the UK and in the US, so and they've been great to work with too, so they've been really awesome people.
No, I love it. So you have closed your deal with them?
We are close.
Close. Okay. I mean, you
Close.
don't have to get into the details. But I was just asking if you have finished due diligence and the negotiation process and all that.
Yes, yeah, we're moving our way through it. We're already like we've already squashed a lot of the big things. So we're definitely on common ground. So I'm really excited. If or when we do close, and I really like just getting to like speak on the phone with them is like the most surreal thing. From being a lifetime Shark Tank fan, to like get time with like Lori and Peter on the phone is just like, it's just mind blowing. It's just surreal. It's like, it's just not, they are the people that you watch on TV. They're all in on business. So,
I was just thinking, isn't Peter a billionaire too?
yeah.
Yeah, so you had two billionaires on your panel, not just Mark. We were talking earlier, and then it just hit me like, pretty sure Peter's one as well. But
I apologize, Peter, if you're watching.
If you're watching 55 minutes into a podcast,
yeah, exactly. I don't want to offend you, and you're well.
Hey, Sean, if there's anywhere to hide a secret, it's at 55 minutes into a podcast. I'm just saying. I won't be making any short clips about that, about that particular topic.
You're probably right.
Oh, man. Anyway, so where were we? Okay, so how did you wind up coming across my content and the channel? Was it pre Shark, pre you knowing you were going Shark Tank, or was it like the night of or something after that?
Well, in my Shark Tank prep, I mean, I was basically looking for all the information that I could get, and I really scoured all my resources on Google, and everything is very cryptic, and there's no information out there. So then my next thing I was going to do is just, gosh, I listen to other people that have been on Shark Tank and pick valuable pieces of information from that. So I was listening to different podcasts, where they're interviewing Shark Tank entrepreneurs, and that's actually how I found you. And halfway, I think it was definitely a few episodes in, you mentioned video, and I'm like, oh, like I can watch this interview happen, and and then I found you on YouTube, and I'm like, okay, perfect. So that was extremely helpful, getting to watch you interview the entrepreneurs, and over the months in my prep work for watching your channel has just been a great resource. I really learned a lot. One thing I learned from watching your interviews was that most entrepreneurs said, I blacked out when I got in there. I don't remember anything. So I went into the Shark Tank with a point to make sure that I was present and that I remembered every single thing, because I knew that as soon as I left there, I wasn't going to get to relive this moment until 8 or 9 or maybe a year later. So I really made a point to just make sure I was there where, and soaked in all that information. So I know exactly what they cut out, and I know, exactly how they edited things. And I knew that, like, I felt like we were very lucky and with how things went in the tank.
Well, I'm glad that you found the channel, and I'm glad that you found out that about the YouTube channel and all the stuff that goes along with it. It's funny that you found the podcast, because the podcast isn't listened to nearly as much as the YouTube videos here on the channel are watched. Fortunately, but unfortunately, it's just the nature of YouTube being a driving force, with the algorithm. But I think one thing that makes me think about what you said about not blacking out is you having the bandwidth to think about, oh, this is where the commercial break's going to be, and they're zooming on my face right now, and and then you're doing this in the moment instead of like not thinking about it, because God, there's a lot going on. Five people yapping at each other, yelling at each other across a room, and you're trying to pick up what they're saying, not miss any questions, and do your part to make sure that all the bits of information come out, and not like leave anything unsaid or
right.
stone unturned,
and not like offend anyone by like ignoring their question, or like I made sure to show love to the whole room.
Oh man, that just brings me to one particular episode. I would love for that particular person to reach out. A specific doctor that was on Shark Tank. I really wish he would reach out. We could have a conversation about it because this is a battleground in the comments down there on that episode. I would love to know more.
I
But
think we all know that episode, definitely.
yeah. Yeah. So okay. So no, that's great. That it's an honor to be able to get to serve people all around the world, bringing information, not just Shark Tank history. I'm not like, I don't consider myself a Shark Tank historian or anything like that, but just to be able to help, because I'm learning as much too, right? Because I don't know anything about the banana business. Like I've never been in the banana business. I've never been in the banana hat business, or fruit preservation business.
Yeah.
So, I think that for me, like I'm learning constantly as much as I'm able to give out information and enlighten areas up, for people who either have ideas or understand that you can pull information and you can pull education from like literally anything.
Yeah, no, totally. You never know where you're going to find that tidbit that's really going to you're going to find valuable, or someone else will find valuable. So it was
absolutely. Well, Sean, how can everybody go and get? Oh, before I get there, how people can get their own Nana hats? You know who does have a Nana hat?
Who's that?
Larry Roberts has a Nana hat. Do you know who Larry Roberts is?
No.
Oh, so for a while there, I was doing all the new episodes. I want to say in 2012 or not 2012, 2021. God, the time warp. 2021 with Larry Roberts as the guy with the red hat that was in a lot of my videos from that time period. Okay. He actually has a Nana hat because his wife decided to buy one.
Oh, awesome! Thank you for the support.
Yes, I got to get some Nana hats myself because the bananas don't. I mean, sometimes it's weird. Sometimes they go through them really fast, where it's like they don't even have a chance to finish ripening, and then other times it's like, oh now we got to make banana bread.
Yeah, no, tell me about it. Like we go through so many bananas because I got to take photos for our social media. So I'm going to get bananas every couple days because I'm OCD. I like to have the perfect looking bananas for my social media. So we just had a
go ahead. I was just going to say speaking.
Oh, there you go. Those are the bananas from my botched first taping day. Yeah, we're just like, oh, we'll just lay some bananas on the ground and throw her in the middle and take a photo. Be much more applicable to show the sharks, our 3-week-old daughter.
I'm sorry. So go ahead.
What were you asking me about? I'm sorry.
Well, it was about how many how we go through bananas. Sometimes we go through bananas like super fast, and sometimes they just end up sitting for one reason or another.
Totally. We just did a photo shoot yesterday. It was a full day with making videos with different bananas. I had even a bunch of dead bananas that I used for a video. So I'm really excited to see how that all turns out. But we go through lots of bananas, and even right now we have 4 bundles here, just for making content and eating.
Oh wow.
Bananas are the best. Come on, Joe.
I'm sorry, what?
You think bananas are the best, don't you?
Well, I do. So here's the thing. I like / love bananas. Okay. I don't love banana flavored things. My wife does. I don't like banana ice cream. Banana pudding's okay. That's probably the one thing. I like bananas and shakes, but that's because it's an actual banana. It's not banana flavored.
Green pie.
I'll eat a little bit of it. I'll just a bite or something. Yeah, I can't do much of that. Oh, what's the other thing? Where you take bananas. It's icebox cake.
I don't think I've ever had one of those. Is it good?
Yeah. I don't ever crave icebox cake, but icebox Icebox cake. It's, let me see. Can I get a good picture of Icebox cake that would show it? Yeah, I guess that. Well, here's one with strawberry on top of it, but it's like graham cracker. It's usually like, well, we would have banana pudding, and then graham cracker on top, and then you get like the whipped topping on top. It's I can't believe I can't find one with bananas on it, but the way my wife makes it is it's always with banana.
And you love your wife's cooking, right, Joe?
Yeah, absolutely.
Good.
But yeah, banana flavored things like that, that's just not my thing. But bananas themselves, bananas and like banana strawberry smoothies and stuff, yeah, absolutely. So I did have a question actually. Now that I'm I pulled up your website here, where everybody can and should go get themselves some banana hats.
Is this the infamous 4K screen?
This is the infamous 4K screen, so I had to blow it up a little bit.
I'm just double checking.
Yeah. So my question is it really only fit 4 bananas, or because like when we get bunches, they usually have 6 on them?
So we have 2 different sizes. We have a standard size and a large size silicone cap. So the standard it comes with every Nana hat, and we use a recommended size of 1 to 3 bananas. But really, you could fit more on the standard size if you needed to. But we have the large size silicone caps, which is perfect for 4 or more, and it's just a lot wider. It's about 60% wider of an opening around the mouth, and so. It's a good tag team duo if you have both. That way, once you get down to 1 or 2 bananas, you can swap out the silicone caps just to like keep them as effective as possible. But the magnets on top, really are universal with the hats, so you can swap out as many hats as you'd like throughout the week. And we have new designs coming out soon, which I'm really excited about. But with the number of SKUs we have right now, I just had to get rid of some to bring in new ones, just because it's a lot to manage, all on my plate.
Yeah. So, okay. So a couple things. One, I was thinking, even when it is 6, I could break off 2 and put a small cap on that. Right. Yep. Or, I mean, I got to let them ripen at least a little bit if they're super green. So you're going to eat 1 or 2 and then pop the cap on and let it, and then let it sit for long. Cause you don't want it to stay green forever, but you want it to stay yellow for as long as possible.
Exactly. There's all different ways you can do it. Like we didn't, the standard size silicone fits on like large size banana bunches, but for some types of bananas or some stores that sell certain bananas, which will remain nameless, they have large crowns that we had to accommodate. So that's part of the reason we launched the large size. I learned a lot with dealing with or getting customer feedback. Really, that's how we really shaped our decisions on the business.
No, I mean, I think it makes sense because you know what? Even if it was 6, it wouldn't be 6 for very long, right? Like, again, you're going to eat it, and then you're going to be down to 4 at some point very quickly. The only thing I noticed here is the images are disappearing on me. I'm using Edge browser.
I know it has something to do with I gotta work with. I actually it has something to do with the Shopify, like the theme with something with hover. On the image.
Is it maybe you don't have a hover image like designated? So it's like, here's the hover image.
Yeah, I think it's like there's a checkbox where if like you want the second image. I actually was just looking at this yesterday because I was like, why did it do that? But maybe I should just add the second image. By the time this video is released, there's going to be a second image there.
Damn, I love it. I love it. Yes, this won't be out till Tuesday of next week, so this should go out on the 14th. But hey, it's always good. Like, hey, I we come across things like this. When I did the Action Glow brothers, they had a weird issue with their video not playing in on Edge, and Edge is built in Chrome, so it's not off of Chrome, so it's not like it's some foreign browser. It's unfortunately, because Google's domination, but so just little things like that you come across, and gotta get them corrected. By the time the video went live, it was totally fixed. I'm kind of curious now. You got me curious. I guess you said it's actually baked into the site is the problem. So if I go here, yeah, it's still doing it on Firefox.
No, I'm not going to blame your Edge.
It's all right. It's all good. I tried to move away from Chrome and Google products as a whole, but outside of YouTube, obviously, outside of that of YouTube, or Mama YouTube we're not doing that. But anyway, yeah. So absolutely, people should go get their Nana hats over at Nana Hats. And how can people get in touch with you on social media and such?
Yeah, on TikTok and Instagram at nana.hats.
Nice.
Yeah, and I'm out there putting out content. I mean, that whole content production, that's a whole nother full-time job, You
got that right. Yeah, for sure. If I pull up your 23,000 followers, man, that's incredible for a hat that you put on Banana. And not even, I think that's the funniest part is it's not like a viral pet rock. It's like legit a thing to do to protect the investment of the bananas.
Yeah. It should just be like a routine nature. You come home from the grocery store, like you're gonna put your Nana hat on your bananas, So
yes, yeah, no, absolutely. This isn't bread on cats or cat. Yeah, bread on cats. I think it was bread on cats or cat. Yeah, people playing 66,000 followers over on TikTok. That is awesome for for her again hats for bananas. Love.
I get we get a little bit more silly on TikTok than Instagram, just a different audience. So it's my product resonates, and like I think a lot of creators love using Nana hats with for their content. So it just furthers the brand.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, Sean, I really appreciate you taking the time today to be here on the show and talk about your experience and the business. And so where is all this going? What's the future of Nana Hats looking like?
I don't, I really think that, Nana Hats should be in every grocery store in the country. That's the one part of our business that just makes zero sense to me. Why isn't our product featured next to the bananas in the grocery store? So that's where I want to be, and that's my mission right now. And as far as where's the business going after that, I think worldwide domination. I think this is I have a lot of fun with this, so I don't want to do anything too fast and get rid of it, but I really enjoy the journey and being creative and getting to put my work out there.
Well, I feel safe saying that if you did get it in every or even just half of the grocery stores in America, you're gonna need a lot more than $200,000 of Nana hats sitting around.
Right.
Because it's like a no-brainer. Especially at the price point, it's sitting right there, and this extends the life of your banana.
Yeah, and I mean, there's all sorts of ideas. Like it should be in think about retirement homes. Also like during the pandemic, it was a really big selling point was people needed longer lasting food more than ever during the pandemic. So, we're just rolling with the punches, but I think that there's a lot of different ways we can go with the business. But I have so many other ideas, Joe, and other companies down the road. I honestly have my next 3 companies mapped out. I just don't know when I'm going to be able to tackle those. So I'm excited.
No, I always say you got to have the book, right? You got to have the book of ideas and flesh things out in your spare time. And then, when you have the time, you have the money and the energy, as we talked about earlier, the 3 things, that's when you can move on it, right? And once Nana Hats is such a crazy big success that you have the extra money to be able to invest in those, you don't have to invest the time and the energy or as much energy into making those other things happen. So that's awesome. It's just great story. Sean, thank you again so much. I'd love to follow up with you in the future and check out what's going on with Nana Hats or these other businesses that you have, because you could totally end up being, I see a second Shark Tank experience there.
Oh, totally. No, I'd love to. And you know, I'm a big fan of yours, so thank you for having me on. And I'm really happy we have to do this. And I'd love to talk to you again.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Hey, I got a phone, man. We can talk anytime.
Let's do it.
Anytime. Well, I appreciate you making it all the way to the end of this episode with Super Sean Adler of Nana Hats. If you haven't seen his pitch, click up here. We'll be out there to hang out with you. If not, I'll see you in the video down below. Take care and go be super.